Going on, guys? Welcome to Kingdom Animalia. This is our second video. Thank you to everybody who liked, comment, subscribe, everything from the last video. I deeply appreciate it, and I appreciate all the feedback that I got. Today I will be showing you guys my 3 Asian forest scorpions. So now I have 24 pets instead of 21, and I'm going to tell you guys about the care for them. I'm going to tell you how I set them up, and I'm going to give you maybe some information on them, and I might try feeding them, but I'm not sure how that's going to go. And I'm also going to show you guys me unboxing them. I will put, like the time markers in the description below. So if anybody doesn't want to watch through the whole video, then you can always do that. Alright, well, I tried to get one out so that I could, tell you guys about them while holding one or something, but the 2 females, you'll see later when I unbox them, they're pretty, they don't like to be bothered. And the male at the moment, he's like inside of the brick. You'll see if you watch me set it up. He's like inside of the brick. He's very hard to get to at the moment, so I'm going to leave them alone. I'm going to start by giving you some information on them. I'm not going to go like really deep into it. There's not that far to go into it anyway. But I'm going to tell you just a few things that I know about them. So they are Asian forest scorpions, which means that they're found in Asia and in the forest. They are found in India, Malaysia, a few other places, but I can't really remember where. They also get to about 5 inches. I think there are some that got up to 8 inches, but generally speaking, the Asian forest scorpions get from about 3.5 inches to about 5 inches, and they are a relatively large scorpion. I think they're either the 2nd largest scorpion in the world or somewhere up in the top rank somewhere. So their genus is Heterometris. I don't know their species simply because the way that people sell Asian forest scorpions is they usually just collect them like in like a mass type of way, and they'll take them from all the areas, they'll take them from Malaysia, they'll take them from India, and all the other places where you can find Asian forest scorpions. But little do people know that in those different areas there are different species, so you can't bring them all together and expect them all to be the same, but that's exactly what they did. So therefore, I know that mine are Heterometris, so they are Asian forest scorpions, but I couldn't tell you the species. And so, Asian forest scorpions, generally speaking, they are black scorpions. Some of them can have a bluish tint, but they're mainly black scorpions. They pretty much eat like any bug that you can feed them. They'll eat crickets, they'll eat mealworms, they'll eat superworms, they'll eat dubia roaches, red button roaches. Pretty much anything that they can fit in their mouth, they'll eat it. And so, in addition to that, Asian forest scorpions are nocturnal scorpions, which means that they like to be out at night. So if you were to get one as a pet, you can't expect to be out during the day that much, because the way that they like to live their life, they like to be outside in the nighttime. So you might not see them that often, and yeah, that's just how they work. They are a communal scorpion, which means that you can keep them with other scorpions, which is exactly what I did. Although some people don't recommend it since they can be relatively aggressive. But I haven't experienced any aggression, minus the fact that they just don't like to be bothered, but they're not really a handleable pet. Asian forest scorpions entered the pet trade as a replacement for like emperor scorpions. Emperor scorpions are another big black scorpion, really. And so a lot of pet stores had them, a lot of people were trading them a lot, and there was a lot going on with emperor scorpions, and they were being easily imported. Like, people were collecting them in very, very large numbers, and they were just dishing them off to be sold, to be given away, things like that. And so pretty much there was like some ban or something that went down on the way that things could be like imported and exported or something like that. And so they stopped selling emperor scorpions so much. Like, they still sell them, but now they're very rare. Originally, when they were selling emperor scorpions in big numbers, they would be like $10, but now emperor scorpions can be like $50 to like $100, right? So they went an easier route, which was to just sell Asian forest scorpions. And so Asian forest scorpions are very similar in care, if anybody knows how to take care of an emperor scorpion or something like that. But Asian forest scorpions, they're very similar. They're about the same size. They're from different areas, but they get about the same care. And yeah. So the way that you care for them is very simple. You want to have somewhere from like a 5-gallon tank to like a 10-gallon tank. Some people even keep them in critter keepers. I don't know if you know what that is, but they're like small tanks, small plastic tanks. I wouldn't really know how to explain it. Actually, this is a critter keeper. I forgot that I have a few. But a lot of them are broken. Like this one has like a hole here. I think I dropped it. Yeah, but that's a critter keeper. And so she wanted to say hi. Okay, yeah. So as I was saying, caring for them is pretty simple. Basically, what you're going to want to do is, the recommendation is that you give them 3 to 4 inches of substrate, which is pretty much just going to be dirt. So, like, you can mix peat moss, you can do cocoa fiber, eco earth, I think there's like cocoa husk, there's things like that. So pretty much you're going to put dirt in there. And they are burrowing species. Oh, and you're not going to take the dirt from outside, like it has to be like actual dirt that you bought. And you got to make sure it doesn't have like fertilizers or chemicals or like pesticides or things like that in it. But yeah, so you're gonna make sure that you have a dirt for them, and the recommendation is that you give them 3 to 4 inches of substrate, because they can burrow. A lot of times they do burrow, but from my experience, that doesn't apply to all Asian forest scorpions. I haven't seen. Actually, I've had 2 in my past, and they never burrowed. Then again, there was definitely something wrong with one of them. He like never ate. He was always hidden. Like there was something wrong with that one. But the other one, he never burrowed, and I have 3 now, and I've had them for, I don't know, some days, and they still haven't burrowed. But if they do happen to start burrowing, then, you know, I'll give them more. But at the moment, I have them in about 2 to 2.5 inches of substrate. If I do see them burrowing, like I said, I will give them some more dirt. But they seem to be doing fine without it. They're using all of the hiding spots that I put in instead of burrowing. So, there's that. Also, you're going to want to give them hiding spots. So I use like a brick and like some aquarium hides. Pretty much anything that you can use as a hide. You can use bark. You can use, like, they have like pieces of bark that you can buy from the pet store. They have like half-cut tree trunks and things like that. They have all types of stuff. You can use coconuts, things like that. But anything that they can like hide under, just so they can feel secure and safe. That's what you want to give to them. You can put some rocks in the enclosure. You can put some bark into the enclosure. You can put rocks and bark in the enclosure. Like maybe a few sticks. You don't need too much of them. They do require very, very simple care. You can put some leaves. I put some springtails, which are very, very small. Like, I wouldn't call them a microorganism, but it goes along with the bioactive setup. So what they'll do is they'll sit in the tank, and then they'll like eat whatever leftover debris is left from like when the scorpion eats, or they and they'll eat like the scorpion's poop and things like that, because that's pretty hard to find in a tank like that. So they'll go around and they'll eat it. They'll take care of that, so I don't have to. So yeah, so that's what you want to. That's pretty much the care for scorpions. You want to keep the temperature at the temperature is about from 75 degrees to about 90 degrees. So if you range anywhere in between there, you should be fine. If you are trying to breed, then I'm pretty sure you need like a very specific temperature or like a more specific range. But I'm not trying to breed them at the moment, so I'm leaving them as they are. My room, generally speaking, is about 80 degrees. So I don't need a heating pad, but I can also put a heating pad in there. If you do put a heating pad, they recommend that you put it on the side of the tank, because if you put it at the bottom, I think it can burn them or something like that. So you don't want to put the heating pad on the bottom. You want to put it on the side. And yeah, if your room gets like below 70 degrees or below 75, or like it gets like super hot, that would tell you what you want to do if you need a heating pad or if you don't need a heating pad. So at the moment, I'm not giving them one. But if they do like seem like they need one, or if the temperature starts to like fluctuate or anything like that, then I will be putting one in there. Alright, so as for feeding, when you feed them, like I said earlier, you can give them pretty much any small feeder bug that they can take down pretty much. But when you feed them, you don't want to feed them every day. You want to feed them every few days. So I'd say about every 3 or 4 days, or you can just feed them once a week to make it easy. You don't want to feed them too many of the insects either. So I'd say give them about 2 to 3, and they might not even eat all of those. But that's what you want to give them. If you give them too much, your scorpion can get very fat, and as a matter of fact, they can actually pop. And it can be the same thing with water. So you don't want to give them too much water. And also, if you give them too much water and they end up sitting in the water, like they have a lot of water, like a lot of water dish space, what will happen is they'll end up sitting in there, and although they're pretty smart, they'll be very stupid and they'll sit in the water and they'll drown. So I don't think you want your scorpion to drown. So what you want to do is you take like a feeding dish and you put like a sponge in it, and so they'll take the water from the sponge. But yeah, you also don't want to give them too much water. I don't know if that applies to all scorpions, but I know when I had like my Desert Hairy, it was like that. The Desert Hairy didn't. You don't want to give it too much water. But the scorpions, the Asian forest scorpions, they are in more of a jungle area instead of a dry area like the Desert Hairy was. So you will leave water in there. With like Desert Harries, it was something like you would have to like give them like a juicy bug, or like they'll get the water from the bug that they have, from the bug that they eat. But yeah, so you do want to keep a water dish in there, and you will be putting a sponge in there. You can use like Orbeez or something, but you don't just want to give them water, and you don't want to give them too much water, nor do you want to give them too much food. Also, just a fun fact, which I will be showing you guys later, under a UV light, their exoskeletons fluoresce. The exoskeleton is pretty much like their outer shell, pretty much. They don't have like a skeleton on the inside, which is why it's called an exoskeleton. Their skeleton is on the outside. But yeah, so it does fluoresce under a UV light. They turn like a greenish, bluish color. It could be pretty cool. You can use it in the daytime. I personally think it looks better in the nighttime. People use it when they want to like search for scorpions, go hunting for scorpions, things like that. Alright, I forgot to add earlier that if you do decide to keep them in a communal setup, you definitely don't want to have more than 3 in there. Like I said, they are a semi-aggressive scorpion, so you don't want to have too many in there, because if you overcrowd it, they're not going to want to be in there together, and they're just going to start to come across with a lot of issues that you just don't want to have in your life. And so I would recommend only keeping about 3 if you do decide to do that. And if you go with the critter keeper, I wouldn't recommend putting more than 2 in there, just because it's relatively small. And you also don't want to give them a lot of space, because if you give them a lot of space, then you will end up stressing them out, because sometimes they won't be able to find their food, or sometimes they won't feel as safe, which is one of the reasons why animals do a lot better in captivity than they do in the wild. Or some animals, not all of them. But a lot of animals do better in captivity than they do in the wild, because they don't have to worry about so much. If they're in a much smaller area that they've been around repeatedly, you know, their scent roams around in there. And scorpions can tell, like, their scent. I wouldn't really know how to explain that, but they know, like, this is where, like, they live, per se. But yeah, so that's one of the reasons that they do a lot better in captivity, because they have a lot less to worry about. So if you give them this really big enclosure and you say, well, I want him to feel like he's in the wild, he's going to be more stressed out. So you don't want to put him in something too big. You also don't want to put him in something too small. But like I said, a 5-gallon would be just fine. A 10-gallon would be just fine. If you really want to stretch it, I wouldn't recommend going over a 20-gallon. Also, the humidity is supposed to be between, I think it's between 75 degrees and 82 degrees. Does it work in degrees? I don't know how you like do humidity, but I know that you can get humidity gauges and put them into the enclosure, and they'll let you know like how much humidity is in there. You don't want it to be too low. Like I said, they are from the jungle, so if you have them in like a very, very dry enclosure, it's just not going to be too good for them. So every now and again, I'd say maybe every few days, you want to mist the enclosure, keep the dirt a little moist, make sure that everything isn't drying out, and that the humidity stays proper. I have a few humidity gauges around, or I did. My lizards actually messed them up. They like knocked them down and they buried them and stuff like that. It was really weird. But I have humidity gauges, and I've seen, like, generally speaking, how much moisture you want to have in the tank, and I do pretty well with keeping the humidity proper. So I'm not gonna put one in there with them, but every now and again I will check it. Just a quick FYI, when you put them in the enclosure, you don't want to put them in an enclosure that gets like really short, if that makes any sense. Like if you watched me set up the tank that I have is a 5-gallon, but they also have 5-gallon options where like it's like not that tall. So what I'm saying to you is you don't want to have an enclosure where it gets like super short, because you don't want the scorpion to be like crawling around the ceiling. And I personally lost a scorpion because of that. I had like this day where like I didn't close the tank all the way, like the lid on it, and he managed to slide the door open and he escaped, and I never saw him again. So just a quick FYI, I would suggest not putting them in a very short enclosure. Also, scorpions and like tarantulas, things like that, invertebrates generally speaking, they're not built to take like far drops, especially if they're terrestrial, which means that they like to be like on flat land or just land in general. So don't drop your scorpion, because if you do, they can rupture their abdomen, and you know that's just bad for business. For this, you're gonna need Eco Earth. I'm only using 1 brick. Sphagnum moss. I don't know if they ever put like fertilizers and stuff in here, but if they do, you want to get the one that doesn't have fertilizer. Yes. I'm gonna use some bark chips. It's Zilla's bark blend. The Eco Earth is easy. You just put the brick in a bucket, and you're gonna take some water. I use warm water. I recommend doing the same. I probably put way too much water, but we will find out soon. We're just gonna wait about 20 to 30 minutes and see what we got. To add the sphagnum moss, I'd wait a little bit, but we're just gonna add it to the mix, and we're gonna mix it in. And then we're still gonna come back and check on it in like 10 minutes. Okay, now the dirt's all finished, and we're gonna put it into the tank. Okay, we squeeze out a lot of that liquid because we don't need it. And then we just put it in the tank. You want to have about 3 to 4 inches for them. They don't need too much, but they do burrow, so. Actually, we're gonna put a little. So we put the brick in, just so that we don't have to like bury it ourselves. And I might put another brick, but I'm not sure yet. And like I said, about 3 to 4 inches, so we're almost there. Flatten that out a little bit. Now we're gonna put hides. I gotta see where I like it. I'll put like this one like here. I'll put this, definitely belongs in an aquarium, but they don't know that. So we're gonna put this one around like there maybe. I decided I'm gonna put the coconut right there. We're gonna leave this big old rock dead center, or center-ish. We'll put the little skull over here. It's mostly for decor anyway. And we'll put the feeding dish in the corner. Now we're just gonna put like filler rocks in the corners. You don't have to do this, but I just want to for the most part. And I could put them like over here, over here, over here. And I could put this one right about there. So that's gonna be it. We're gonna have, so this could act as a hide. Technically, if they could manage to get back there, which I doubt they will, that could be a hide. You have the corner rocks. This is a hide. They're gonna burrow under everything for the. Well, they're probably gonna burrow. I'm not sure. And then you put your sponge in the thingy. Remember, you don't want to fill it up with water, so that because the scorpions they could be kind of stupid. They'll end up drowning themselves. I mean, this isn't a big dish, but just in case, I put the sponge anyway, and they'll get their water from there. And I'll put the food in there some other time. If you don't want to use a sponge, you can use like the little Orbeez ball thingies or like water crystals that people use for plants. They all do the same thing, but I'm choosing to use a sponge right now. Alright, so we have the scorpions here. I got them off of Craigslist, so it's not really a special like unboxing, but we have them here. It's an unboxing. And here's the tank, which I set up earlier. I forgot to like record myself adding the bark, but I did put the bark in there. So yeah, we're gonna open them up. We're gonna start with the male. I'm gonna get a look at this guy. There's some nastiness on his tail, but he should be fine. I'll look into it. He actually has a bluish tint. Now, he did go through like the drive, I guess, but he looks pretty calm. He doesn't look defensive, so I might try to pick him up. Let's see if I can just lure him out. Alright, well, that's the male. Looks pretty calm. He has a lot of dirt on him, but that's no surprise. Aside from that weird stuff on his tail, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong. Yeah, so he looks pretty good. There you guys have it. I wanted to mention that his venom, it's not very bad. Like if I was to get stung, you see that stinger? If I was to get stung, it wouldn't be too bad. It'd be a lot like a bee sting. If you see those big claws, usually if the scorpion has big claws, it means that they're not like very venomous. The smaller scorpions who have like smaller claws and like a really fat tail, like those are the scorpions you don't want to mess with. Like this guy, he's probably not like gonna mess me up or nothing. But there's his tail. You can see his big claws. Oh, jittery. All right, we're gonna put him back now, or put him in. He didn't want to switch hands. That would have been a good time to switch hands. He's going up. Here's the two check. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at the female. I don't know if it was this one or the other one, but one of them looked like they were very defensive. Probably upset about the ride home. Let's see if we can wake her up. Okay, she's up, and she's defensive-ish. She doesn't really look like she wants to be messed with, so I might not handle her. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just put her in. Now, it wasn't a very defensive posture, but she just didn't look like she was with it, so I'm just gonna try to... She actually doesn't look like she's with anything. She doesn't want to move. Maybe I will try to take her out. There's multiple ways to lift up a scorpion if you have to. You can try to lure them onto your hand, which is what I'm trying to do now. Okay. It's obviously not working. There's another thing where you can like pick them up from like the base of their tail. But I don't like to do that because if you mess up anything over here, that's the end of your scorpion. A lot of people would think that the scorpion poops like through here, right? No, that's not the case. The scorpion poops, if I'm not mistaken, from around here. The anus is all the way up here by the stinger. So if you pick it up from the base of the tail and you end up doing something wrong, that's the end of your scorpion. It can't poop. It's just not gonna go down correctly. So, like I was saying before, she's not in a super defensive posture. Like a really defensive posture would be like her claws would be open up, they would be raised up in the air. Her stinger would be like a little bit forward towards like towards her head or like the midsection of her body. It's not very she's not being very defensive, so I might end up taking her out anyway. And I don't want to just dump her. So let's see if we can just get her out. She just doesn't want to cooperate. Let's try turning it up. You just tell me you hate me. It's just that simple. Yeah, we're just gonna. Why you gotta pinch the plastic? You making me not want to hold you. Yeah, we're just gonna put her in. She's being difficult. Alright, boom. So she's in. Now that she's in, it looks like she calmed down actually, but we're gonna leave her. Alright, last but not least, we have the baddest scorpion in the jungle. She actually, let's see. See, like that looks kind of defensive. Yeah. You see, like her stinger is up, and it's leaned forward, and you see how she's like reacting very quickly. Like I said, the baddest scorpion in the jungle. You see, she's moving quick. She's not really ready to play any games, so definitely not gonna hold her. And yeah. Alright, I decided that I want to name her Sheba. Why? Because if you watch The Walking Dead, Sheba didn't look like she played no games. And she definitely doesn't look like she plays games. So I think I like Sheba. You guys can tell me if you like it in the comment section. I mean, that's still going to be her name, if I can figure out how to differentiate the two. But yeah, we're not gonna hold her. She's not having it. We're just gonna put her down. Alright. You could join the family. There we go. They all went to the exact same spot. They're all right behind the brick, going into the same hole. Why? Don't ask me. I'd show you what I was talking about. They're all in this one spot. I was gonna try to like maybe feed them, see if they were hungry, but I don't know how I'm gonna feed them all when they're all sitting in a hole. So I mean, we'll see how that goes. You see Sheba trying to break through the back. I don't know why they're all trying to fit in one hole, but yeah. Oh, he's making his way through. He doesn't want to be stuck with them. But that's the two females in the back. And that big one up front is the male. So I'll probably be able to differentiate him between everybody else. But yeah, so there you have it. So like I said, we're going to try to feed them. I have some super worms here. We're going to see if anybody's interested. If they're not, I'm just going to leave them in a little food dish. I don't know if anybody's actually going to take it. But we're just going to have to see. Actually, I can't even see if there's anybody. I don't even know where they went. But given the circumstances, this is about as dark as I could get the room. But I do have a black light, and we're going to try to shine it on them. I don't even know where to shine it, but I think you can see that. So you see, at least his claw, like, it glows back a separate color. I have no idea where Sheba went, but she was just out for me to be able to show you guys. If I do get the chance to make it better, I definitely will get a better recording. But that's how they look under the black light. Maybe if I put it in the back, you probably can't see like that, but I can actually put the camera back here and show you guys that way. Alright, well, like I said, I'm going to try to show you guys from behind here. When you turn on the black light, you see they glow back that bluish, greenish color. It's very weird. Why they do that, I have no idea, but that's something I've seen with, well, that's something with all scorpions, really. Oh, we found Sheba. She's in here. A lot of people do this to, like, hunt for scorpions or just find scorpions in general. So yeah, we found Sheba. Here's the other two. They glow back. If I turn the light off, they're just pitch black. But if I turn it on, you can see them. I don't think they actually like the black light, but they definitely shine back through it. So I just thought that was pretty cool. Alright guys, well that's all for today. I will try to keep you all updated. Yeah, I will also be posting them on Instagram, so stay tuned for that and make sure you drop a like on them. If anybody has any name suggestions, you can feel free to put that in the comment section. I can't promise that when you comment I won't have a name by then, but if I don't, then I will definitely let you know if your name has been chosen. Alright, well, I have one female left and one male left. So you choose wisely. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see y'all later.